Oh, okay, everybody. Podcast number 16, Dennis Young, Primitive Substance. Another special guest tonight, a unique bassist, mathematician, etc. David Axelrod, who I've known now for over 30 years, which is amazing. So, David, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. This has been great. So, maybe go over your background a little bit, how you got involved with music, how you started, and etc.
Sure. Well, if I go back far enough, at one point my parents had gotten a piano, and I think I might have been like in second grade, and
Okay.
and I had about a month or two of lessons on it, and then we moved, and
Okay.
they took the piano, but I didn't have any more lessons.
Oh,
But
okay.
but a few years later, after moving again,
Oh my gosh.
Jersey. Yeah, we moved a lot back then. Um, at one point, I started to like sit at the piano, and I wasn't having any lessons. For some reason, I just liked to pretend that I was like some great piano player, and
Right.
I just bang out on the piano,
Funny.
and so there was that for a little bit, and then they ended up selling the piano because I wasn't taking lessons or whatever.
Right.
And then I was in 11th grade after having moved again, this
Oh
time
my gosh.
to North Plainfield. And,
Oh man.
yep. And I had developed a friend. He was a year younger than me, had just started playing guitar. And for some reason, I got in my head is I could play better than him.
There you go.
But it's like, I figured, well, you know what? There's plenty of guitarists. And I'm not totally sure of my musical ability. How about if I take up the bass? Because it's only four strings instead of
Oh,
six.
there you go. That's a good start. Why not, right?
That was my thinking.
That's funny.
And so that's when I was 16.
How about that?
And I don't know, about 9 months, 8, 9 months after starting to take some bass lessons, the person who was teaching me was an instructor at a local music store, like down the street. And
Oh, how about
he,
that?
he said, "This is all I can teach you." And he said, "However, I could see if Harry Leahy will take you on."
Oh, that's something great. That's
Oh,
a famous bass player.
no, not bass player, guitarist.
Oh, guitarist. Wow. Better yet.
Harry Leahy. Now he passed away in around 1990, I believe.
Okay.
He was just phenomenal jazz player. If you do a search on him,
I'm gonna have to.
it's a lot of projects. But not only was he, a great guitarist, but he had a deep understanding of theory, and
Oh, wow.
is for finger exercises, and all of that was like perfect for me because if people ask, I'm a fairly theoretical person.
Right, right.
So he just gave me a lot of different kinds of scales, modalities.
Wow.
He encouraged different time signatures. So that opened up a whole set of possibilities musically for me that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Fantastic. And then we jump ahead. Well, anything in the 80s now that was significant, playing with any musicians? Because
Yeah, when we got into the 80s, had a couple of interesting moments early on. I got to play bass and piano for a very local version of um, oh shoot, what's the name of that? I'm sorry.
that's all right. Was it a play?
Yeah, it's not Jesus Christ Superstar, the other one, Godspell.
Oh, okay. I
Spell.
didn't know that.
Yeah. So I got the chance to play a couple of versions of that, and I also got to play the same summer for I think it was the Black River Playhouse in Chester. So
Okay.
I play, in the bass music pit with that, and so that was kind of a big moment.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And yeah, okay. Should I keep going?
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
So that was an opportunity to play with a little bit more upscale, but in a very formal setting. So that was a nice growth opportunity musically. And then I had a number of friends that I played with, and
Right.
and along the way, ended up doing a lot of writing, and particularly liked odd timing music. And then finally, I think in '84, I had just graduated with a BA from Rutgers in mathematical statistics.
Wow.
And
That's wow, that's great.
and I was working in an insurance company as a assistant actuary, and I got myself a Tascam. What was it? A 424 or something like that. I
How
don't know.
about that?
It was the old 4-track cassette.
Oh my gosh, I had one of those.
Yeah. A lot of people had them.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with that is my old tapes would not play on anything but that because it had some kind of noise reduction system. So in order to play any of my old tapes, I had to buy a used one, really expensive to try
Yep.
to get those old songs back, see what I had. Plus, you had to use metal tape back then. You
Oh,
couldn't chrome.
yeah. You had these metal tape. Yeah.
People that were using cheap tape,
No.
now they listen to that back. They're like, so much noise on it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So that was a big break moment, right? When you had 4 tracks to work with.
That's right, and that's where I really started to get to practice, more engineering. I mean,
Right.
trying to make sure the levels weren't so high that it was distorted, and not so low that you got like
Right.
noise, and then bouncing tracks, and then having to be clever about it, right? Because you
Right.
keep doing it indefinitely.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
If you're bouncing tracks. I never really bounced tracks. I just used the 4-track, but I could see that.
Yeah.
If you're bouncing, like the Beatles did with Sgt. Pepper.
That's
They
right.
only had like 4 tracks. They were bouncing tracks over.
Yeah.
But still sounds good. You
Yeah.
know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So now we go to the point where I met you in the 90s.
Yes.
Anything more in the 80s if you want to talk about, or let's go way back?
I had various different projects that I played with. In the second half of the '80s, I was working on my PhD in economics, so I kept up with music. For a stretch, I was playing with a band called Taxi.
Well, I remember that. So you guys play.
Yeah,
You were a good band.
Yeah, it was
Very good band.
Pretty solid band, and had some original material. So so there was that. Again, also playing Friends open stages. So I had a chance to connect with a lot. And being a bass player, it was actually easier to play with people because everyone was looking for a bass player.
Exactly, still are. It's
Still
wanted. Yeah, it's still a in demand instrument. So
Yeah.
now it comes to the point where I actually met you, like in the early '90s, with
Yeah,
and
91, yeah.
we got to show you some of these.
Oh, yes, that came out in '93,
And then we got this one,
'94,
and then here's your
'95. Yes.
3 fantastic records.
Oh, thank you.
Now, you should reissue this or put it on Bandcamp or something, because
It is-
everybody out there listening.
It is on Apple. It is on Spotify.
Oh, good.
I figure a few other places. I figured One Vote Zygote. I'm going to have to re-release. I think this summer in some way because it's an election.
Right. That's perfect.
And zygotes are all the thing.
That's true. You're right. They're great records. I mean, you really put a lot of time into it. I could hear it. Amazing amount of hours you must have put in. And Jan's voice was fantastic.
Oh, Jan was wonderful. It worked so well together. Now, the one little thing or big thing, depending on how you look at it, was shortly after starting to go out with Jan, and we were starting to do some music in December of December 7th of 1992, I was in a car accident that led me,
wow, Pearl Harbor Day. Wow.
yeah, up in Maine. And, you know, like I said, intensive care for a while, took, you know, a couple of months to get back to being able to walk. At one point, they were wondering whether or not I would actually walk again.
Wow. I remember seeing you at your house once.
Yeah.
You were recovering.
Yes. Yep.
Man.
And so that was a situation where I didn't have a job at that time, and because of the timing, I missed out on a what would be the job market for economists, which was
right
for January. So in my recovery, I focused on doing as much as I could with my music, because it was like,
well, I could tell it was. These are great records.
Oh,
they don't age at all. They just have that quirky quality. You don't know what's coming next. It's great. And I could tell the time you put in. It's just so much great stuff.
Yeah. It's one of the things that kept me going through that time. Yeah.
Right. Well, here's another little goodie I want to show you.
Ah, yes, Music for the Goddess, 1999.
Right. Well, anyway, the story on my story is I was recovering from a car accident. I had 3 surgeries on my fingers, and this was really a recovery playing with you guys. Those couple of shows, the one at Beltane outside in 40-degree weather.
Oh, I was so cold.
that was amazing. That was really wild. And then at the same time, we did this water torture chamber music.
Yes,
which has been another great opportunity to play with you. That was fantastic.
I love playing with you guys. I mean, it's for people who don't know, it was just a total improv. I mean,
right.
We would just, one of us would start something, and then nothing was written out, completely improv.
It just clicked. And that's what you should put those out again for sure. Maybe on Bandcamp, because these are really unique, especially the first record. I think, and then
so good.
I have a clip up on our channel with the water torture. I think it was the first song we ever played. If you look for it, we played. I think it was in North Brunswick.
Oh, that was Don Slepian's thing.
Right. With Music of the Goddess.
Yep. It was
a great night.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I think we really clicked that night. Everybody did.
Oh, yeah. It was really, really good.
I just feel bad that we didn't get a good recording of the Music of the Goddess live, because we had a couple really great shows.
Yeah.
What happened to Wendy? Is she still doing music? Wendy, is she?
She still does a lot of artistic stuff.
Great.
She eventually did put out another 1 or 2 albums with Music for the Goddess, but she kind of, focused in a slightly different direction. But she's doing a lot of artwork, crafts.
Oh, wow.
It's just phenomenal that way.
And then you were doing a lot of solo records still in that period, right?
Yes, I did. Right I had a nice gig in 1995. My sister and NAMI had pulled together something called the if you remember, is it the Creative Arts Network?
Oh, okay.
And they had a little storefront in Bound Brook.
How about that?
And, got a chance to perform there. And some of that turned into my live solo album.
Oh, wow.
Which is Solitary Expansion.
How about that? Yeah, you had some great improv records. They were really unique.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, you really got a lot. And then I think this is really probably my best record you played on.
Oh, I love playing with you. It was such an honor. It was so much fun to be able to play.
Yeah, that was a great. You really knocked it out on that song "Time." Everybody out there, one take.
I really enjoyed learning that song and playing.
Yeah, it was great. And then you played on this one also. All new tricks.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, it was fantastic. You came in and just played, got it done. That's how I like to do music, just fast. And
like 21st century, something like
yes,
that.
21st Century Days.
Yeah, yeah. I just remember just going hog wild with it.
And then I found the release party show where there was more people on stage than in the crowd. I think there must have been 10 people up there, and you were great on all of them. But there was one song, "Life of Crime," I just put up, a song everybody's playing on, and John Francis killed it. He was just doing this amazing stuff. So I hope to interview him too. So at some point, we'll see what happens.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great.
So what else? So the 2000s, you did solo music. Were you playing in any bands at that point?
Let's see. In the early 2000s, well, predominantly, was water torture chamber music.
Right.
I was with a band called The Shapes.
Okay.
And we hadn't gotten any recording done, like a little bit.
Okay.
And then in let's see. Oh, and then there was another band called Crippled Dick.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The power trio band, and we got to play out a little bit, but some of the stuff is just hilarious.
That's great.
Are out there. And then I developed tendonitis. I believe it was like early 2001.
Okay.
And so I had to stop playing for a few months, and so The Shapes ended up finding another bass player, so that was kind of done with that. But eventually, it went away. I was able to get back on bass again, but it certainly took it in a slightly different direction.
Well, sometimes it's good to take a break, even if it's an injury, because then you get a new outlook, especially if you haven't played an instrument for a while and you go back to it.
Yeah.
You find some new avenues to work with it. I think that's always good. For me, anyway, if I take a break and then go back to playing again, it sort of opens up some new avenues. That's what I see.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. If you allow your muscle memory to go away, I mean, it's annoying because now you don't have it. But in the process of relearning, now you come up with new ideas, new ways of connecting with.
Right.
So sometimes what's the phrase? When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right?
Yep. Now, do you have a lot of material still that you haven't released yet from the past that listeners would love to hear?
I've got a chunk of water torture chamber music. I probably got about 3 albums worth that.
Wow.
I need to sit down and and get out again. So there's that. There's some older stuff that would need some serious editing, but I could maybe got another album's worth out there. It's I've been the last few years I've been very wrapped up being in my role as instructor at Montclair State and developing new courses.
Right.
So that's another variant of a creative outlet.
Of course.
But one of the pieces that I had written for One Vote Zygote, I believe it was One Vote Zygote, is Time Mind Weavers. And so I used that for like a short little video of the course that I developed, Economics of Time.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I've been doing, if you looked at one of them I have is Giant Spiders from Mars. And Brad Kleiman, who I play with, he does an amazing job putting these videos together. So it's gotten some views on here. So we'll see if we post some more things. But that'd be good if you bring out some of that old stuff that you have. I'm sure people would want to hear it.
Yeah. Now there's 2 other projects I want to mention because it did get to the point of putting albums out. So one was Dark Cave Therapy.
Okay.
Lee Nasser, who's just a phenomenal drummer.
Right. Okay. I remember her.
And so this was mostly a bass and drum album. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And then in 2013, put out for a project Peculiar Comforts with Carol Boyer. So she did singing, some flute,
Nice.
so there's these other pieces there.
No, these records, can you get these CDs, buy them, or they're kind of out of print?
CDs, you might be able to find them. You certainly can. I think all of these are available on Apple,
Okay.
Spotify. So
Yeah, because if anybody's listening, especially, do you have could you buy it on your website? Any of these CDs, or any left?
probably through CD Baby. But as far as a CD, I still have some of them left. So if someone's interested,
okay, you never know.
But you know how it is.
Yeah.
Physical CD is not, it's not as much of a market for that.
No.
But
Unfortunately.
the MP3s, online digital versions, that is absolutely available.
And the thing is, you put out vinyl, it's very expensive, and who knows? Unless you have a fan base, you'll be stuck with 98 of them if you release 100. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So I've given up on that. It's totally digital for now, unless there's a real interest. So I've gone back in time to my reel-to-reel tapes. I'm putting out the 5th one now, from the reel-to-reel music I had from the 80s. So luckily, I saved a lot of that. So I'm sure you have a lot of archive things left, right?
I don't have reel-to-reel, but I've from the 80s is the 4-track cassette, and then from like 93 and afterwards, I had gotten one of those. Oh shoot! What was the name of it? It was one of those digital 8-track.
ADAT.
The ADAT, yes.
How about that?
So yeah, I've got a bunch of tapes there that I haven't turned into albums yet. Actually, a bunch of recordings from
Water Torture.
Well, there's some from Water Torture. That's the part that needs to be done, but also from Crippled Dick. We had.
Okay.
So there's stuff for me to do once I find the time to do some more of it.
Are you going to do any new music in the future coming up? I know we're going to do Water Torture chamber music. We're going to continue that.
Yeah. So that'll be new. I'm looking to reconnect, hopefully with you, hopefully with other people, and do much more music than
that'd be great.
Recently. Things got thrown off a bit with the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
and
for everybody.
So I'm back. I'm certainly yearning to get back and playing.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you're talented. You added so much to my music, and watching you play with other people, you're a really good player, David.
It was so easy to come up with parts for you, because your songs are just. You've got great rhythms. It's great flow.
Nice.
You make it easy.
Oh, thanks for hearing that.
Yeah, it's huge. It's some people it's difficult to figure out a bass part, but for you, because it's your stuff is already there.
Well, I never put pressure on anybody either when I do a record to say, okay, you got to play it this way. Because then the creative juices are so concentrated on, I got to get this part right, that it throws off the spontaneity a little bit.
Well, it's, in that position, you're not so much creating as you're producing.
Exactly.
And let's, to be fair, anyone who's a musician that's, thinking about trying to make a living, doing the creative stuff is a great thrill, but you don't get paid for being creative. You get paid for doing something that someone else finds valuable.
Exactly.
So, if you're going to be a studio musician, you got to be prepared to, do the part and do the part well that someone, and they may give you room to be creative, but you still have to, you still have to hit it. You still got to get the right groove. You still got to get the
right.
And
So I spoke with the other day, Rick Murata. who's played with everybody. I mean, James Taylor, Carly Simon, he was just rattling off these famous people. But what made him so good is he was a pocket drummer. He was always in the pocket with these big major artists, and they loved that. You
Yeah.
know, didn't do a lot of crazy fills. He was right there, and he amazing if you look at his discography. So you should check that one out. It probably I'm going to do part 2 with him because there's
Oh,
so much. I mean, he played with everybody, John Lennon, you name it.
wow.
So it was really thrilled to talk to the guy. But you've done a lot of work too. I mean, everybody I've spoke to, including yourself. So I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else. If you want to add anything else.
Well, let me think about this. I talked about Dark Cave Therapy, which was fun, and
Right.
Peculiar Comforts. Some smaller projects. There was this one jam with, I don't know if you remember Noah Lonnie.
Oh yeah, I remember her.
She passed away about 1.5 years ago.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
But there was one time when her daughter and son, who were like in their early 30s, and her came to visit because they were like out in New Orleans, and I think the son was actually living in Germany at the time. And they came, and we did like a spontaneous one-day jam.
Oh wow.
We got that down, and that was fun.
Oh, and then you worked with Brian Van Corn too, right?
Oh, Brian's amazing.
Yeah.
Brian Van Corn.
He's a natural wonder. That guy. He could play any instrument. I remember when we used to play.
He's just so gifted, you know. And like you said, it's put an instrument in his hand, and like 15 minutes later, he's already figuring out how to be brilliant on it.
You two guys were great together. I mean, I remember those jams.
Playing with him, he was great. He was great.
I mean, everything was locked in. Both of you guys were really synced well. That's what makes it when you have that with other people, that the creativity comes out. You don't have to worry about if they're going to play the wrong note or not. It just happens.
Right, that's right. There was another musician, Wendy Davis, who.
Oh yeah, I remember her.
Super creative, and which can be challenging if you're trying to be serious and focused.
Right.
There were times when her and I were in sync. We did one piece called Heart Shift, which is about 20 minutes long, but it starts with her on a singing bowl and flute, and then I add bass, and it was one of those moments where the musicianship came through.
That's right.
As compared to making sure to get the music right.
Yeah, I've had those moments. I've
Yeah.
had with water torture chamber music. I've had it with liquid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we had those moments, even when we didn't play for 20 years and then we started playing again that first practice.
Yeah.
It was like the music took over. It was separate from us.
Yeah.
Magic moments.
Exactly.
When that happens. And it's rare that as a musician you get to experience that as a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. And I think you're bringing up a very, very important point here about the spiritual nature of music.
Right.
Often we get distracted by, is that going to sell? Is that going to be a number one?
Right.
I think for many of us who play music, it's after we've had that first moment where we're playing, and whether or not we've performed perfectly or not, we've had the feeling of the music going through us.
That's true.
As if a transcendent higher being is playing us.
I agree. That happens.
And for anyone who's thinking about maybe I'll take an instrument, do it.
There you go. See, listeners out there, right here.
Absolutely,
years of experience.
Yes, whether or not a top tier professional musician, or you're only playing at home for yourself, if you have that moment of feeling the music going through you, it changes you.
It does. You're right.
With the world very differently. You connect with the spiritual very differently.
Right, and we've both had those moments, and a lot of musicians I've been speaking to have had those moments.
Yeah.
So I'm getting such a learning curve of everybody's moments that they're talking about, and so this has been a real journey here for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doing it now is good because I speak to the people that some of them have been playing since the 80s, so they're a little more relaxed about talking about what
Yeah.
they did. There's not this pressure, well, I got a gig next week, and
Yeah.
that pressure that you're still
Well, you're still making a career.
right.
That's the difference, right?
Well, true, but we're doing it for fun now, so
Yeah.
it's all for the love of music at this point. So it is what it is. So this is what we do. So this has been a great chat here, David. Glad you were able to do it.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. You're part of the whole network here of people I wanted to talk to.
And I'm certainly looking forward to getting to play some more music with you again soon.
Oh, absolutely. We'll keep it going.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good talking to you tonight, and this will probably be up in a couple days.
Great.
All right. Nice talking to you. I'll see you soon. Take care, David. Bye-bye.